a podcast hosted by Joe Dietrich, Joe on the mic, Leader Talk. All right, guys, we are back on Leader Talk once again, and I'm so excited to have Michael Tucker with us today. Thank you, Michael, for coming on. And I'm just going to do a quick introduction, and we're going to jump right into this because he has a lot to give us, and I'm excited about having him on. And again, his name is Michael Tucker. He is passionate about helping people step into their God-given greatness and discover their full potential. So he's right up the alley for Leader Talk. Growing up, Michael always knew that life was meant to be lived to the fullest. Although he grew up in a small town in middle of Kentucky, he set out to start his own business and do things most people in life would not dare to do. And that's a good trait from him, and hopefully you glean that from Michael. After raising thousands of dollars for charities across the globe, starting multiple successful businesses, conquering his health by challenging himself with marathons and century rides. I got to ask you about that later on. And more, he decided it was time to use his voice to move the nations. Michael is now on a mission to empower faith-based leaders to conquer the world and become the best versions of themselves as possible. Thank you, Michael, for coming on, brother. I appreciate it.
Joe, my man, thank you so much for having me. I'm so pumped. I hope you guys know before this podcast even started, we were already getting so deep in conversation. I was like, this is going to be good. So thanks for having me. I'm so pumped. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, Michael, and you've encouraged me as well. And we run in different groups and coordinate and collaborate in different groups. And you've had me on your leader club, and I appreciate you having me on talking about leadership, talking about forgiveness and the impacts of that. And and I see you do things, and I know your backstory, and because you and I are in another group, Simplified Investing, and you contribute so much in there, and you empower folks to go beyond the limiting beliefs that the world does, and actually go for the best that God has for them, and to reach their goals and dreams. But can you tell me what? Now, how did you start out? And give us a little backstory, because I know there's a lot more to you than what that little bio. But can you give us a little backstory before we jump into it?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity again. But, it all started out small town in Kentucky, right? I don't know if you guys are here, if you're listening, if you're part of a small town, but I grew up in a town where there's only like 3,000 people. So I didn't grow up in a place where you grow up in, there's multiple, 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure businesses. You got like a booming town. I just grew up where, there's farming everywhere. And so like my mindset growing up, a lot of people I surrounded with wasn't to think big. It was just, hey, it was a small town mindset. And so growing up, but I knew it was something different. I knew God had something different out there, outside the walls of the city. And so, I started on a hunt. My dad was always entrepreneurial. He always had a few businesses. My mom the same way. And I was like, you know what? I got to go out there. I got to use. 'Cause I have so much talent. I was like, I know God's given me so much things I'm passionate about, and I said I got to go out there and search. So I went on a search, Joe, like forever. I was like, I didn't know what it was. I just knew there was. I wanted to be in business, and I knew God gave me these talents in business. I just need to go out there and find out what it was. So I went on a hunt, like from high school to college. I just tried everything and anything, and maybe some of you guys listening can relate. You're like, I've been there. I've tried everything. That was me. I kind of had shiny object syndrome. You'll hear me say that a couple other times. It was like, you see one thing, it's flashy, it's nice. Oh, I'm gonna try that. I seen an ad. I'm gonna try that business. And so I did that for a few years until I found real estate. And Joe, I think you guys are into real estate a little bit as well. And so I got into real estate and I started learning about the power of how to utilize that to grow wealth. And unfortunately, though, Joe, whenever I first got into real estate, it didn't go too well. My very first deal, I lost $20,000. But let me set the frame here for everybody listening. And this there's a moral to this story I'm about to share with you. I was in college, and I was working part time as a restaurant server at a family restaurant, and I was working there, making a few $100 a week. Pretty good for a restaurant server. I thought we were doing pretty well, but still just barely making it by. And so I knew I wanted more, so I jumped into real estate. And I didn't mention, I was a newlywed. So I just got out of, I was in college, newlywed. We actually just spent all of our money on our honeymoon going to Bali. And so literally like at ground zero, and I jumped into real estate. Well, the thing is, and I want to give you guys a point here. Never let your emotions trump principles. I got so excited. I got into real estate. I got so excited. I let my emotions trump the principles of real estate, and I got in. And my very first deal, I bought it too expensive. I didn't quote the repair work out right. I tried doing all the work myself. I ended up losing like $20,000. I didn't even have $20,000. So I went from having a 750, 700, 750 credit score to literally having a 550 credit score and an additional $20,000 in debt on top of my college debt. And it put me in a bad headspace. And you're like, Michael, where are you going with this? Because Joe, you asked the question, you're like, you're a little everywhere. I was like, you know what? This has to work. I see people, I see my mentor, I see people like Joe, all these people, they're making it work. What happened? And so I went to the drawing board, I sat down. I was like, this has to work somehow. And what I realized was, like I mentioned, I was in my own way. There's some of you guys listening here today, you are in your own way, and that was me. But during this time, I really got depressed. I didn't have any money. I was working as a restaurant server and then a youth minister on the weekends to try to, pay off this $20,000 in credit card debt that I just acquired. And I was really depressed. My relationship, my wife, I didn't really spend much time with her because I was working so much. My faith, I wasn't in the right headspace there. My finances definitely were in the hole. And because I was working so much, didn't really have. I have pictures, and I'm so thankful that where we're at today. I look back, I got pictures in my fridge when all I had was red potatoes and a Pepsi in there. And so it's just like every area of my life wasn't feeling right. But one day I was in my mom's. She has a clothing store and a boutique clothing store. And I was standing behind the counter, and she said, "Michael, you just been depressed lately. I can tell." She's like, "Are you wanting to really do this? Are you really wanting to continue doing real estate?" And it was at that moment I had to make a decision if I was going to give up like I had every other venture before. Because I told you I tried everything. I was trying stock trading, Amazon, drop shipping, stock market, everything. And she said, Are you sure you want to do this? And at that moment I had to decide. Am I going to continue doing what I've always done, which is quit? Or am I going to keep going? And so it was that moment there, I decided I was going to commit to the process. And so that's where it all started, Joe. That right then I said, you know what? Everything else I've already quit. I tried for a month, 2 months, and I realized if I commit to this longer than maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe I'll actually get good at it. And I did. And so we committed a year, we committed 2 years and 3 years, and eventually we ended up building a very successful real estate business. And that's how we kind of gotten a little bit better in the real estate money side of things. But it all started with committing first. And so that's what I'm big and passionate about, Joe, is helping people learn how to commit and conquer their world. So you opened up a can of worms, but that's kind of how I started and got to this point today.
No, that is so good. And guys, how many of you guys out there can relate that you tried a whole bunch of things and all you did was end up in the hole? That's me. That was us. That was us a while
Yep.
back. We tried to do too many things at one time because one things that I attribute it to is that we didn't have right coaching or right mentorship to help us, you know, get refined in what we were doing. We didn't have stable principles in our life. And we're going to talk about that because Michael, you laid out, you shared with me some good principles that every entrepreneur, every leader, every business owner, or even up and coming entrepreneur needs to know about. Now, number one, you already mentioned one of the things, but is not one of the four principles, but I would imagine it's deep within those four principles is a commitment. Say, look, I'm gonna
Yep.
commit to this. I'm gonna run with it. And that was something that my wife and I learned a long time ago is commit to the process. And whether good, bad, or indifferent, but also to learn from it. But Michael, I know one of the things that I want us to talk about too, and I love that commit to the process. Man, we could talk about that for like 2 hours, how you
Yeah, I
can
know, right?
commit, stay with it. Because a lot of times people don't see the journey, right? All they see is like, well, Michael, man, you're flipping houses, you're buying mobile home parks, you're doing all kinds of stuff like that. It's like, wow, that's amazing. But like John Maxwell would say, is that John Maxwell was an overnight success, but it took him 20 years to be an overnight success. They
crazy.
don't, nobody sees John Maxwell's nights of just studying, training, learning from his mistakes, his failures. Because man, one of our first real estate, I think it was our third real estate transaction. We had to file bankruptcy
Wow.
because, our first one, we're like, man, this one was great. We started making cash flow on our first deal as a duplex, got it for a great price, cash flowing, did a flip. Wow, we got $30,000, man, right in our pocket, yada, yada, yada. And then we went on to another one, and we got overwhelmed. And then we had to file bankruptcy. And we lost almost everything but the first property we got. And then we had to start all over again. And like you said, I went through a little deep area of despair, but thank God he brought us back out, but with leaders, mentors, and everybody else like that
Yep.
to help us get back on track. So, and one of those things, and I wanted to make sure we jumped into this. You have four principles that you're going to be training people on pretty soon,
Yep.
and they're health, wealth, relationships, and faith. And when you present these things to me, I said, I love it. I love it because anytime we go and we venture as an entrepreneur, if you don't have a good foundation, as soon as something fails, you're going to be on rocky ground. You're going to be on sand. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you got to that process to get to these four principles to help you be
Yeah.
an entrepreneur?
Yeah, and with where this really all started was at that point where I said, okay, I'm going to commit to the process. And so I started finding success in real estate. And I realized not only in my life, but I looked at other entrepreneurs around me and I noticed that they weren't fulfilled in every area of their life. Like we were finding success in real estate, but what about all the other areas in my life? Because if business is good, what about all the other areas?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes vice versa. So your health is really good. What about your faith? Right about, it's a wheel. And a lot of people try to balance life, but I really like to, at this moment in my life, I said, hey, we're conquering real estate, but I'm spending a lot of time away from my wife. Like, why is that? Or hey, I'm making decent money now. Like, we're making six figures, but what about my health, right? I'm working 16 hours a day. Like if I keep this up, I'm going to be dead by 60, right? And
Come on.
so it's all about like you're going to hear the word conquer a lot. That's my jam. That's like my word. So like it's all about conquering every area of your life as an entrepreneur and a leader, because if you can't lead yourself first, and Joe talks about this all the time, if you
Mm-hmm.
can't lead yourself first, how are you going to lead the other people under your care? How are you going to lead all the other people that are behind you, depending on you? And so we like, and you kind of alluded that we're going to be teaching on this soon. We're going to be helping people conquer every area of their life and show them how to start that. And there's some really cool tools and resources we have created and use for this. But that's what I'm passionate about. And we've talked a lot off screen about these things, but I really feel like if you want to maximize your life, and if you want to make a true impact, it starts with within, and you need to conquer your, like I said, your faith, at the very first, right? That's first priority. Is you have to get right with God. You have to make that a priority. And so many people sit on the sidelines and let their faith sit in the back seat when that should be the very first thing. So faith, your health, your wealth, and relationships, right? Those are four key areas we believe that you really need to be focusing on growing and maximizing every day, not just every year, once a year, whenever New Year's comes around, but like something that we should focus on and dwell on daily. Now, you're gonna have ebbs and flows, or ebbs and lows, right? You're gonna have high times, low times, but it's all about making an effort and being aware of those areas and figuring out ways you can constantly improve on them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit about that. That's why we're passionate about it, is just because I personally have seen the power of balancing and growing in every area of those pillars. And I know that if you, the listener, if you're watching or listening to this right now, if you make a focus on maximizing every area of your life, it's only going to help your business if you get better and you start working out. It's only going to help your business if you're eating healthy. It's only going to help your business if you're have a smoking good relationship with your wife or your husband, right? So like it's a well-rounded circle that I think we all should try to optimize at some
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yeah, and I truly believe, like you had made a post earlier about taking a stand. And I think taking a stand for your faith, taking a stand for your relationships, even taking a stand for your wealth and your health, it's important. And it all goes back to being committed
Hmm.
to the process. And and sometimes people are like, well, Joe, yeah, I want to take a stand with my wealth, but where do I go from there? I want to take a stand for my faith, but what does that look like? I want to take a stand for my relationships. What does that look like? Can you give our audience, like, what does that look like for you and for your clients, even for your employees? What
Right.
does that look like to you?
Yeah, it all starts with taking inventory of yourself. Joe can't look at you, right, and say, "Hey, this is where you need to improve." Now, he may look at you and be like, "All right, I noticed you've been eating a little bit too much cookies, right?" So,
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
but like it all starts within, right? You have to take a deep evaluation and a deep reflection on your life. And ultimately that sometimes it's scary for people that have never done that. Sometimes it's a little daunting to look inside and face the true you. But I would say spend some time with you and God, right? Sit down and get true evaluation of your life in every area of that. And something that we're actually going to be doing, and I'm just going to give a quick rundown about it. But I don't know, Joe, if you've ever heard of the Wheel of Life
Yes,
activity.
yes.
So it's very simple. If you guys are here, you can literally do it in like 5 minutes. You just get a blank sheet of paper, draw a circle, like they make you do in preschool. Draw a circle, and you just put spokes on it. And I want you to do um, some exercises do more than four spokes, but we'll just say for the sake of this, do four spokes, right? Just two lines and like an X. What I want you to do is each one of those lines, you're going to have four lines when you do an X. I want you to put your health, wealth, relationships, and faith. And I want you to rate yourself on those spokes, 0 to 10. Where you at? Like, be honest with yourself. Your relationships with not only your family, but what about your friends? Are you in good relationships? Are you in relationships that are going to help you thrive instead of die? Are you in relationships that are going to help you grow instead of go backwards? What about your health? Are you eating healthily? Are you sleeping good every night? Are you sleeping a good 8 hours? Are you going to the gym? Are you getting out and doing the things you enjoy? That's part of health too. Faith. Are you spending time with God? How do you feel connected with Him? Are you spending time in prayer, reading the Bible, good Christian community? Right? Do you have accountability, which is a big factor when it comes to faith in actually every pillar? Do you have accountability in those areas? Same thing with wealth in your business. How do you feel like your business? Are you growing daily? Are you maximizing your time there? So go through and on that wheel, I just want you to rate from 0 to 10 where you at right now. And I like to do this, and actually one of my good friends, Dr. Serrano, I don't know if you know him or not, but he actually does this once a quarter. And that's actually where I got it from. I was like, that's very cool. So each quarter you take these tests and you do this. You do it maybe January. The next quarter you do it again. And then you could see your growth, and you can use that as a gauge of how you're optimizing your life and how you're conquering every area. And so that's a really simple, Joe. I know you asked how we do that. That's one way I kind of gauge where I'm at with it, and it's maybe something simple that your audience can do, and you listening right now can do to maybe take gauge of where you're at in those areas.
Mhm. Now, this is real big because we're at the end of the year, and this is one of the things that, and one of the four, I have one of my five pillars of our coaching is we do proper positive evaluations, and this wheel of life is a key instrument in gauging those things. And of course, you got to be honest. It's, and sometimes people they don't want to be a little bit truthful about what they're where they're at or wherever the case may be, but it's real good to just do an honest reflection, because we're a people of faith, and it says those that are in Christ, in Romans it says there is therefore no more condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus. Anytime when God asks us a question about, hey, evaluate something that's going on in your life, because He's really wanting to partner with you to refine things in your life that needs improvement,
Mm-hmm.
or just possibly it needs a little, little edging off of and everything else like that, a little
Right. A
polishing.
little pruning.
Yeah, a little pruning. He doesn't want to prune us in a way that harms us. He wants to get rid of those things that are basically like dead branches, or dead leaves off of us, so we can grow and flourish even more. So don't take like, hey man, I don't want to evaluate. No, go ahead and do it. It's okay. You know, it's
Is
a
it
safe
okay?
place to do it. Yeah.
Is it okay if I talk a little bit about why this is important a little deeper?
Yes, let's do
Okay.
that. Do it. Yeah,
Okay,
please.
so I'm gonna
Please.
kind of base this. I made a Facebook post earlier, and so Joe saw it. And so
Yeah.
I was fired up this morning. I've been fired up about this for a while, but give you a little context. I made a Facebook post how I'm pretty much tired about what the world sees as okay, and how what the world's feeding us a lot of times is killing us from the inside out, right? And so this is important because there are people that depend on you, right? There are people that depend on you maximizing your life, stepping into your greatness. And so I'm very like this is the Leader Talk podcast, right? I apologize if you hear the dog upstairs. I'm down in the basement, but um this is like you're on the Leader Talk podcast. This is like a podcast. We could be real with each other. You guys are leaders. If you're listening to this, you're more than likely a business owner, you're a leader of an organization. There are people in your care, and if you don't take your life seriously, if you don't be intentional with your life, there's people that hang in the balance of that. And so this is really important because I feel like, and this is something Joe and I were talking about offline, is not enough people know what they stand for, right? And so I encourage you guys to figure out what you stand for in 2023, or if you're listening to this in 2022, in 2022 as well. Because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I want you guys to really realize that by you just sitting on the sidelines, and this is what I did for so long, Joe. This is what I did for so long, my friend. Republican, Democrat, I would say, you know what? I'll let them fight their battles. And I'm not making this political by any chance. I would say I'm gonna let them fight their battles. I'm just gonna stay on the sideline, and I'm not gonna get in any conversation about what's right or wrong. And so what happened was I found myself not standing up for anything in my life. There was no purpose behind it. And so I would say, somebody will ask, what do you think about this? Nothing. Or what do you think about that? And what I was doing subconsciously, and I was telling myself that the the things that the world was saying is okay, it's fine. If you believe it, you believe it. It's like, no, there's things out there that you need to stand up for and stand up against. And so I just get passionate about this. There's people out there that need you. So start living with intention. I feel like it's really important. And that's why like we're on a mission right now, Joe. We're on a mission like 2023. We're gonna move as many people as we can into optimizing their life, conquering every area of their life so we can affect as many people as possible. Because it starts with you guys. It starts with you. You're a leader, you're a business owner, you're a pastor. You're supposed to be the example of excellence. And so the question is, are you? And if we can start, it just starts with a few people, right? That's how
Mm-hmm.
movements start. It's just me and Joe, me, Joe, and Violet, right? Me, Joe, Violet, and Caleb. And it goes on and on and on. So I'm passionate about this because I know your kids depend on it, your grandkids, your family, your closest friends depend on it, whether you see it right now or not. What you do or what you say right now will have so much either good or bad consequences in the future. So that's why I feel like they need to kind of take this serious, Joe,
Mm-hmm.
and really find a way to get better and step into what God has for them. So I hope I'm not
Mm.
talking too much. I
No,
just
no,
get
no, no. This is good because it's like I can hear like, well, Michael, yeah, I would like to take a stand, but I'm not like Elon Musk. I
right.
can't buy a $44 billion company and tell Twitter to start leaking files and whatever the case may be. Who am I? Well,
Right.
how can I make a stand and make a difference?
Yeah. And I think it all starts with asking yourself, what do you have? What do we have? We all have a voice, right? We all have a voice. But what unique skill sets and resources do you have? And I'm not saying that everybody needs to step up and fight against sex trafficking. Do I think we should? Yeah. But like, you got to you find your way to lead the people that are in your care and lead them effectively, right? And so whether that's using your voice, maybe you have resources that nobody else has. It could be money. It could be relationships that you have, connections, networks, but figure out ways that you can really, really maximize what you have. Because I love this about the body of Christ is we're all different. And if we all were the same, it would be so boring. I'm sorry, Joe. I don't want you to be like me. I don't want to be like you. I'm glad that we're all different. And just because we all have this thing called creativity, right? We get it from the creator. And so we get this creativity. We can do so many different things. So if you're asking yourself right now, Michael, how do I stand up? How do I make a difference? Ask yourself, you got to take inventory again. What do I have and how can I use what I have to really, really lead and impact as many people as possible?
Hmm.
Because, hey, Joe, is it okay if I tell you a quick story real quick?
Yeah, yeah, bring it,
Okay.
brother.
I was 15 years old. And at this time, I don't know, I met my wife at the time at 15 years old. We were just friends. Nothing serious, no boyfriend, girlfriend. We just met each other. We noticed we had a lot of interest. And one of those interests was we've always wanted to go on a mission trip. And we were like, this would be so cool. Like, let's like there's people out there that need help in Africa. There's and even in here in our backyard. But at the time we were like, we see it all the time on TV, you see it on the news. There's people over that need help. Let's help them. And so we went on a journey to figure out how we could help as many people as possible overseas in Africa. And we didn't know how we were doing it. We were 15. So we were the same way. We were like, how do we stand up for this when we're 15 years old? We can't even drive yet, right? We can't even drive. How are we supposed to make a difference and help people over in Africa? And so we just went to where we asked ourselves, what do we have? What can we do? We said, well, we do have parents and family. So let's go there. Let's start there and share the vision with them. They kind of got the vision, they kind of didn't, but we started there and we planted the seed. And the cool thing is, all it takes is one seed, right? That could lead to total life change. So if you're here today and you just feel like that you're stuck, you just feel like it's not been working for you, whatever you've been trying is, just keep sowing those seeds because just one seed could change your life forever. And so that's what happened, Joe. We just started sharing the vision with people and we said, you know what? One thing we have that other people don't have is time. We can go out there and raise some money. We come up and got all creative. And long story short, we ended up going to Africa and raising quite a bit of money, which eventually led in and turned into a nonprofit that we formed at 15, 16 years old. And so it all started though with us taking inventory of where we're at. We got passionate about something, right? Took inventory of what we had, and then we just got to work and started sharing the vision. So that's where I would start. If anybody's on here right now and you're like, I have something I'm passionate about and I want to take a stand for, I just don't know where to start. Just start with what you have. And then if you share the vision to the right people over the right amount of time, eventually you're going to collect other resources that you didn't have, right? Through relationships. So um, at the time, we didn't have money. So what did we do? We ended up getting connections with people who were eventually our board members, people that were passionate about our mission too. And so it started growing and growing and growing. And we ended up doing multiple mission. And I don't say this to brag, it's just sharing what God did through that and through us taking a stand. We ended up at 17 and 18 years old. We were leading mission trips like every year. And so it was really cool experience, but it all started with just taking a stand and taking inventory. So that's what I would do,
Mm.
Joe, if that makes sense.
Guys, hopefully you guys can know. I'm gonna sum up what he said. Like he was 15 years old, living in middle Kentucky, 3,000 people, right?
Yeah.
Him and his friend at the time came up with an idea that they were passionate about mission trips to help people overseas, and they found resources. They got resourceful and found a way to make their passion happen, and it turned into a nonprofit organization. Guys, and I can truly say this, I'm like 99.99% sure that only in the United States can you sit there and say, man, I got a passion about this, and talk to a friend, come into agreement, ask God, and I'm pretty sure you guys were praying
Yep.
for help. And God brought the resources because they said, I'm going to take our passion to the next step and ask questions about who can help us to make this get accomplished. It's not about you having the money. It's about you being resourceful and asking the right questions and finding people that can partner with you that have the money and the resources to make that thing happen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all about leadership too, because they took a lead role in their passion to say, let's go do this
Right.
and
And
take
I
the
think
steps.
like Joe, I wholeheartedly believe like if you're listening to this and you're young, like I'm talking like 20 years or younger, or maybe if you're listening to this and you have kids or grandkids or even just friends that are 20 years or younger, I wholeheartedly believe teenagers have the ability to make just as much impact as adults or more. Why? Because they have time on their side, right?
Mhm.
They have youth on their side, right? So I wholeheartedly believe in that. And so like actually during that time we would go and speak at churches and oftentimes share our message with the youth because it's so crazy what you can do with everything you just said. And so if you're here today and you're hearing this conversation and we're talking about taking a stand, optimizing your life, and to bring it all together, what I want you guys to realize is we want you to be intentional about your future. We want you to be intentional about your future going forward because the new year's coming. This is why we're having this conversation, Joe. Because the new year's coming, 2023 is going to come and I know everybody on this podcast. I already know. If you're listening to this, you are probably going to set a new year's resolution. Most people do. But I want you to be different than just everybody else. Because listen, Joe, I'm going to read this to you. I can't remember the exact stats, but there was a survey taken and I shared this on my Instagram. So let me see if I could pull it up. But there was a survey was taken from a group of people, and out of that survey, 83% of the people that took the survey didn't have goals.
Hmm.
So a lot of people set goals, but there are a lot of people that don't. Out of those people that were surveyed, 14% of them had goals and plans, but didn't have them in writing. And only 3% of those people had goals in writing. So when we talk about
Hmm.
goal setting, I want you guys to be different than everybody else. I want you to be people who go out there and crush your goals. And not for the sake of just accomplishing to accomplish, but to have a meaningful life. I want you to go out there and be different so you can actually live a life that's different, set yourself apart because we're not supposed to conform to this world. That's a whole nother conversation for another time. But 2023 is coming. And how can we use this fresh start? A lot of people say, right? The fresh start. How can we use this to really set ourselves apart and maximize our true potential that God's given us? And we have so much. I'm so pumped, Joe. I hope you don't mind me saying this, the event we got coming up, because it's going to be massive. We're going to dive into all this and more. It's going to be so, so exciting. But I just want you guys to take your life seriously because nobody else is going to do it for you. And last thing I would hate for this to happen. And Joe, I'm going to share a story in just a second, but I would hate for you guys to get to the end of your life. I love telling stories, so I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah,
But I would hate for you to get to the end of your life and regret not going all in and being intentional with your life.
yeah.
I would hate for you to get to the end of your life and regret not taking a stand.
Hmm.
There was a guy I knew, I grew up with. His name was Frankie. So I'm just going to say it. And some of the people who are listening to this, you'll know who I'm talking about. But Frankie, great guy, one of my best friends. He actually came from Central America. He had a prosthetic leg and he had so much potential. You ever see somebody that's you're just like, they're an all around good person. Frankie was good looking. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm a guy, but he was a good looking dude. He was a fit, right? He would go to the gym and he was one of those guys that he could have a six pack just by walking in the gym doors. He was he just was smart as all get out. But Frankie, unfortunately, he used his prosthetic leg and his health condition that he had as a way to, I guess, as an excuse to stop him from stepping into his greatness.
Hmm.
This guy had so much potential, and unfortunately, COVID hit, and during that time, he actually had, I think, a blood clot that ended up taking his life, and it
Hmm.
was very, very tragic out of nowhere.
Hmm.
And it just it just made me realize this dude who had so much potential, who had like literally everybody loved him. He just had that demeanor where you walk in a room, you're gonna smile. He had so much potential to change people's lives and change his own life, but he got in his own way and he left that on the table, that true potential.
Hmm.
Guys, listen, if you're listening to this, we don't know the time or hour we're gonna leave here. We don't know the day, the year, the month. And I would hate for you to leave this world with so much potential on the table. Listen, I don't know about you all, Joe. I know this is you, Joe, but I don't know about you all listening. But whenever my life ends and I get to the pearly gates, I want to meet the person God destined for me to be. And I would love to be like, yes, I got as close as I could to this person, right? I want to shake that person's hand and say, I tried my best. I would love to shake. I would say, God, I tried my best, man. And so that's just a call to action going into the new year, guys. Is just let's live life like there's no tomorrow because we're not promised tomorrow. Joe, that's what I'm passionate about, man.
Hey, but before we go, I want to make sure everybody is aware, and I alluded to this earlier. Michael, I want you to let everybody know what you got going on at the end of this month, the end of December. And because I want to make sure that we're talking about going after your dreams, taking action, being committed, health, wealth, relationships, and faith. Can you let them know about the Kings and Queens challenge that's coming up that you guys are hosting, and I'm excited to be a part of to participate in. So,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So what we did is I felt like God was putting this on my heart over the past few weeks. I was like, how can we move people in action? Like, there's not enough urgency for these like Christian leaders and stuff. Like, we have to take action. So I said, how can we gather at the end of the year here, gather as many Christian leaders and entrepreneurs together as possible to like move into 2023 like it's nobody's business.
hmm,
And we came up with something called the Kings and Queens Challenge. So what we're doing is we're running it's a free event, guys. Literally no strings attached, free event. I think Joe has the link below, or he'll give you the
yeah.
link somewhere. But we're just running a 5-day event where you can come and learn from myself and other amazing speakers. We haven't announced yet, but Joe, I've been talking. I actually have a meeting right after this with somebody that's going to blow your socks off.
Uh-oh.
But we were like, how can we bring together these people to learn how to really maximize their life and how to conquer their health, their wealth, relationships, and their faith? And so we're crafting an amazing event. If you want to become the king and queen of every area of your life, we know who the true king is, but if you want to conquer every area of your life, this is the event for you. It's going to be massive. It's going to be amazing. And our hopes is that you would leave this event a new person. Not just this
Hmm.
isn't just a normal event. We hope that when you leave this event, you think differently about your relationships with your family. You think different about how to create wealth. You think differently about how to or why you should get in shape and why you should be healthy, and faith and more. Listen, it's free to you can go to kingsandqueenschallenge.com or hit up Joe. The link should be below. This is going to be an amazing event. You don't want to miss it. December 26th.
Man. And I'm excited. Guys, I already signed up. I'm ready to jump in there. And guys, like you said, the link will be below for you guys to sign up. It's going to be awesome because look, everybody knows I'm a coach, I'm a leader. Look, Michael's a leader and I look up to him. Okay. He's younger than me. That's okay. He's have greater hair, better hair than I do and everything else like that. But you know what? We can learn from other leaders as well. And I'm glad to call him a friend. We've met in other conferences and stuff like that. And he has things that I need to
Vice
learn
versa.
about leadership. And leadership, we're always learning, going to the next level. And for him to be talking about faith, relationships, wealth, and health is vitally important for every leader to understand those aspects and to make improvements in those areas. Because, like Michael was alluding to, you can be super successful, but if your health is not where it needs to be, you're not going to be able to enjoy that success. You're not going to be able to enjoy your relationships because your health is not where it needs to be. You might have some grandkids that you want to play with, but your health is so bad that you can't play with them. You can't lift them up in the air like
Yep.
you once wanted to. You wanted to run around and play with them in the grass, whatever, play in the snow. And this is a good way to say set new goals for your health, set new goals for your wealth, set new goals for your relationships and your faith.
Yep. And that's what we're
Because,
doing, Joe.
yeah,
We're coming together and helping people really, because I'm all about goal setting, but how can you set your goals in a way
mm,
that you're actually going to achieve them? And so
mm,
that's what we're going to help you do through those 5 days.
yeah,
It's going to be it's going to be a lot of information, but if you implement it, it's going to be crazy for your life. Your family's going to notice a difference. Your organization that you work with or that are under you, they're going to notice a difference. If you want to become a better leader all around, this is for you.
yeah. And it starts on December 26th.
December 26th. Yep. So it's right
Okay.
after Christmas. I know everybody's going to have family things going on. It's cool. It's at noon. The replays will be available. So if you're like, Michael, those dates don't work for me, the replays will be available. Just go in there, hop in, at least save your spot. And we have some exciting news as well. So whenever you get in there, there's a Facebook community. Join that Facebook community. I think Joe's in there, a bunch of other people. You're going to get to network with people, other leaders, other business owners. And we have some special announcements that we're going to be dropping in there as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And look, the cost is free. But knowing how Tucker is and knowing the excellence that he wants to bring, the cost probably should be about $200 a pop.
Yeah, yeah.
$200 a piece. Just on the entry level. But he's making it free for you guys, which is super awesome. Jump in there, get in the Facebook group, find out about all that he's doing. And Michael, before we go, do you have any last words for our audience to get them inspired and get them excited about today?
Yeah, I mean, we've already covered so much, but if I could say anything, it's time to get serious. Like, so many people I talk with, I talk with a lot of people. You do too, Joe. You're on a podcast, so you talk with a lot of people. You're in a Facebook group. I talk with people all the time, and there's people I hear all the time. Oh, I want to be successful. Okay. Art, I think his name's Art Williams. I don't know if you've ever heard the speech he said. He said, just do it, right? Just do it, right? And so this year, let's just do it. Just grow in your faith. Just do it. Let's just get healthy this year. Listen, because nobody's gonna make you getting your life right a priority other than you, and it's important that you really do this. And it's not for me. It's not for Joe, but it's for you and your people around your sphere of influence. So if I would say anything, I say let's just do it. Let's start the new year off with a bang, and let's keep it rolling. Let's get the momentum going. And Joe, super appreciative of you, man. Like, if you guys are listening to this, I just want to encourage you. If you've not subscribed to his podcast, he didn't tell me to do this. Subscribe to his podcast. Like, this is gold. I've known Joe for a while now. I love you guys. You all are amazing. That's from the bottom of my heart. I truly, truly believe in what you do. So keep crushing it, Joe. You're awesome.
Yeah, and congratulations on your new little one. I almost forgot to mention.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and guys, thank you, Michael, for coming on, and thank you. You kind of took my line there. I was going to say, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit like, share this podcast. Look, guys, it's time to start your new year off right. 2023 started out with a bang. Join the Kings and Queens Challenge and get in there. Get in there. Do it. It's time to do it. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And like I always tell people, have a positive expectation of God's goodness in your life each and every day. God bless you guys. Thanks, Mike. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Bye, everybody.
So hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast and share this podcast, because you need to get leadership tips out there. And have a positive expectation of God's goodness in your life each and every day. Hey, if you want to find out more about what I do, go to joedietrich.com. Go to joedietrich.com and see what we're up to. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.